just thank you for all you do for us. Lord, we thank you for this city. We thank you for the people that make it up. Lord, for the leadership that is here tonight, that lead and guide and direct, provide wisdom and direction for this community and speak on behalf of the people. Just lead and guide us in all that we do and all we say, and help us just to be great citizens and great leaders on your behalf. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody sit down but me. I'm going to do something. You guys will notice that we are missing a person at council. Well, not missing, he's just sitting in the wrong seat. Brandon, come up here.
Watch your step.
I'm going to be very careful.
Please do.
Watch your step.
Brandon Self has failed to look at a map when buying his new house. Brandon has moved to a new district, a new ward, and has, since he no longer lives in Ward 1, he has resigned. So I would like to, and we tried to do a plaque, but he's refused a plaque. We're going to mail you a plaque, so that's just tough. You're going to have to live with it. But what I am going to do is, look, I came on board not knowing anything about anything, and you have taught me a whole lot about city government. So thank you for your mentorship. Thank you for your sound voice, and thank you for serving the citizens of the public. And I really, truly wish we had something big and fancy, but what I'm going to hand you is your plate. And thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
I just really want to show up, and I didn't get a hold of everyone. I called a few people. I just really want to show up and say bye to everyone. It's been nice getting to know you. The city's in good hands. Again, I said the other meeting, we are one of the most transparent cities out there, and it all starts with everybody here and most of the people back here. So, from the employees to everyone, David and Mr. Eisen, I've tried to call you a couple times. I know a weird number, don't answer. Anyway, I tried to call a few of the department heads as I could, but all of our employees, each of you that went out, put your name on a ballot, took a risk. I applaud you. Thank you for your dedication, and man, the future's super exciting here. So this is exactly what whenever I ran, this is what I wanted. So this is what I envisioned as far as I asked Mr. Cameron, what's it like to grow? I mean, it's fun. It's a good time. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you all.
Thank you, Brandon. You will be missed. Thank you, sir. Moving on to our agenda for the evening, I'd like to start with I'm going to open citizen participation. If there are any citizens here wishing to speak to anything not on the agenda, you will be given an opportunity to speak. I don't think I see any citizens. So I'm going to close citizen participation. Eric, quit messing with me. I just improv'd enough. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda, I need a motion and a second for the approval of the consent agenda.
Motion. Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to the boards, commissions, and committee schedules, we've got a city council meeting right now. A city council meeting on June 1st, 2021. And this is important. We will be in the new chamber June 1st. So yeah, looking forward to that. We've got a Board of Adjustments meeting coming up on June 3rd, 2021, and a Planning and Zoning meeting June 7th, 2021. When's our second June City Council meeting?
20th.
June 20th, 2021. Those are the upcoming boards, commissions, and committee schedule. Moving on to item number 4 on our agenda, I need a motion and a second for the second reading of Bill 21-36 by title only.
Motion.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, approving the annexation of approximately 12 acres located in the 7200 block of West Farm Road 170 PIN 881715200003, and adjacent right-of-way.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Haynes, you presented last time. Any updates from staff? No. Any questions or comments or discussion from council? Seeing none, I now need a motion and a second for the final passage of Bill 21-36.
Motion. Second.
We've got a motion and a second. We are now going to take a roll call vote on our computers. So please click refresh. Cast your vote. Hit submit, and we will wait.
All right.
Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to item number 5 on our agenda, I need a motion and a second for the second reading of Bill 21-37 by title only.
Motion. Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, approving the annexation of approximately 12 acres located in the 7200 block of West Farm Road 170, PIN 881715200002, and adjacent right-of-way.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Haynes, any updates or comments from staff?
No.
Any questions, discussions, or comments from council? Seeing none, we will now need a motion and a second for the final passage of Bill 21-37.
Motion. Second.
We've got a motion and a second. We are now going to take a roll call vote. Please click refresh on your computers. Cast your vote, and then click submit. Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to item number 6 on our agenda, I need a motion and a second for the second reading of Bill 21-38 by title only.
Motion. Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, approving the final plat of the Old Savannah Phase 1A subdivision.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Haynes, any updates from staff?
No.
Any questions, comments, or discussion from council? Seeing none, I now need a motion and a second for the final passage of Bill 21-38.
Motion.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. We are now going to take a roll call vote, so please click refresh, cast your vote, and then hit submit. Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to new business number 7 in the agenda, I need a motion and a second for the first reading of Bill 21-39 by title only.
Motion.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, vacating a water line and drainage easement on the 60 West subdivision.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Haynes.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Republic is requesting a water line and drainage easement vacation of 2 sections of abandoned water line and a small section of drainage easement associated with the 60 West development project. The referenced water line was abandoned to allow for the construction of Building 1 of 60 West. New water mains were installed along U.S. Highway 60 to serve the development. We have reviewed the vacation request, and we are requesting approval.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from council? All right. Seeing none, remember this is a first read, so if you have any questions, please get with staff before the next meeting. Moving on to item number 8, I need a motion and a second for the first reading of Bill 21-40 by title only.
Motion.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, vacating a sediment and detention basin easement on Lot 6 of the Octar Park subdivision.
Ms. Haynes.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Republic is requesting the vacation of the temporary sediment and detention basin easement located on Lot 6 of Octar Park. The easement was originally executed and recorded on January 31st of 2005. The temporary easement was executed for stormwater improvements. Permanent stormwater improvements were made, and a new permanent drainage easement was recorded in 2014. Staff has reviewed the request, and we are requesting approval.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions from council? Seeing none, please remember this is a first read, so if you have questions, please get with staff. Moving on to item number 9 on the agenda, I need a motion and a second for the first reading of Bill 21-41 by title only.
Motion.
We've got a motion. Do we?
Second.
And we've got several motions, several seconds. Are you good?
I got one of each.
Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, amending the municipal code of the City of Republic, Missouri by amending Title IV, Land Use, Chapter 405, Zoning Regulations, Article 7, additional district provisions regarding accessory structures.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Tabor is here to give us an overview.
Thank you, Mayor. The Bills Department is requesting an amendment to Section 405-640 accessory structures to bring the function of this ordinance in line with how it is intended to be used. 2 changes are being proposed. First, certain structures are being exempted from the requirement of spacing from the home or principal structure. Currently, all structures must be spaced 10 feet from the home except for pools, which may be 5 feet. We are suggesting that the following structures be allowed to locate directly next to the house: spas, pergolas, and unwalled carports. The second change that we're asking be made is a suggestion that the city engineer be given discretion to require any structures that would impede visibility at an intersection to be located outside of that area. This will only affect new accessory structures moving forward. Staff recommends approval of the referenced amendment.
Questions from council? Seeing none, please remember this is a first read, so if you have questions, please get with staff before the next meeting. Moving on to other business. Item number 10, this is 21-R-21, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the purchase of 3 police vehicles. I need a motion and a second to take up resolution 21-R-21.
Motion. Second.
We got a motion and a second. Sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Republic Police Department is requesting to buy 3 new Dodge Chargers, 2021 Dodge Chargers, and accompanying emergency equipment. The Chargers are on a fixed state bid price at $28,754 each for a total of $86,282, and the accompanying equipment up to $68,000. They are on a fixed state bid through Rufus Ford.
Questions from council? You're just too good, man. Wow. Were these already budgeted for? Were these planned? Or
This
these...
is out of the capital improvement sales tax.
So we were expecting to buy these. Are we retiring 3 old cars?
The plan is to not retire 3 old cars, no.
Okay, so we're just adding to the fleet.
Adding to the fleet. That's
Do you
correct.
allow officers to take cars home?
We have a modified take-home car program. So if you live in the city and it is the consecutive days that you work, you can take it home that night that you work the next day.
Okay.
That's a great question.
I felt like somebody needed to ask something.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's something that we could talk about since we'll have to do the discussion. So we'll just add to we need to make one last one 7 minutes, but.
Not that we.
I do think it's something that in the future that I think that the police department has talked about that would be helpful is if we had our officers where they had a vehicle that lived in town, they could actually take it home even when off duty. I think it does help with community policing, but for another discussion.
Any other questions from council?
I have one question. Oh, no, did you have a question?
No, I was going to say, because of the staff that we've added to the department?
Say that again.
Is it because of the staff we've added to the department, so they're not sharing vehicles as much?
No, we're sharing vehicles. If we're fully staffed, we have no spare vehicles right now, and there's 2 per vehicle.
Did you have something else?
So the question is, I would say that the last fleet or the last replacements we did were Tahoes. So is this because we were gonna run those to see how that worked?
So if you remember, we bought 2 Tahoes and 1 Dodge Charger. Previously, they had some issues with Dodge Charger with the engines not oiling properly. We have ran that for almost 2 years now. It has had 0 issues. They are also all-wheel drive Dodge Chargers, so that was the other issue was making sure they get around in the inclement weather. They do great. And the other catch is they're about $10,000 cheaper than Tahoes, Durangos, or Explorers currently.
Gotcha.
One thing I should probably mention is cars all over right now are having problems getting the processing chips. So getting them may be a little slower than normal. So.
Excellent. Any other questions? Mr. Franklin?
Were these coming from the Chesterfield, Missouri, the Lou Fuzz Ford?
It's Lou Fuzz. I'm not sure where
Okay.
they're located.
Or as far as location? I was just curious as far. Thank you.
There's only a few dealers in the state that are allowed to go to the state bid, and they were the one that answered us that they could get them.
It looked like there was two. Was there only two respondents for the bid?
I believe so.
Well, as this is a resolution, we can call this directly to a vote. So that is what I'll do. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to item number 11 on our agenda. This is 21-R-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, awarding the bid for the remodeling of City Hall to add a conference room and authorizing the execution of an agreement for the same. I need a motion and a second to take up resolution 21-R-22.
Motion.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Mr. Keeley.
Good evening. I asked Josh to pull this up just as a reference for the project, but as you can imagine, with all the growth and development of the city, the need for places and spaces to conduct city business is in peak demand. That's both internal, external, development community, internal staff meetings and everything. We really downtown only have one professional space to conduct a meeting, and that's in the Builds Department, and they would probably speak to it better than I can, but I can imagine that thing's about 95% capacity, so occupancy. So what we're proposing to do is the old city council chambers, which, by the way, you guys will be blown away by the new space over there. It is absolutely awesome. The courtroom is going to be great. But in the old place where it used to be pre-COVID, GHN has designed a space where we have a 13 by 26 conference room. It's almost similar to the, identical to the one over at Bill's department. This area right here, it will be a waiting area, lobby area, but we are proposing to put our newly created customer service representative there. Excited about the project. They bid time and obviously bid price. We had a great competitive bid cycle. We had six contractors respond. The low was Rio Contracting in the amount of $63,340. They bid 90 days. They believe they can get it done quicker than that. It's just a matter of getting indoors. I believe there's an industry shortage of doors, but hopefully we can get it done quicker than 90 days. But excited about the project, excited about the space. And what this does, obviously, is frees up the Builds room. I've been in meetings over there where we had to have them in the cafeteria and the back areas. So to have another professional, awesome space to conduct city meetings is going to be phenomenal for us. So.
Questions from council? Mr. Duggan.
Are the walls going to be like regular sheetrock walls?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you can see it in here. There's a window
Well,
here.
yeah. But the wall itself.
Yeah. And we'll have all the necessary AV. I did write down a note. It'll probably have around $8,000 to $10,000 worth of FF&E in it, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Just for the necessary conference table, chairs, and the stuff out in the lobby as well.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Sir.
So this is a difficult investment because, again, we're putting money into an older building, but with the consideration that we do not have the financial means to address the city hall needs, but we have got to find this space. We're also going to have to be considering, because we had the discussion today on the planning staff, the build side, we're going to have to be making some additional considerations with the building, a number of buildings downtown to try to do something to shore it up, because we're running out. We're putting the new IT department in the back area that does not, it's going to take some investment into those buildings, but this is going to be a great space. The amount of development that we're doing, we're doing 2.1 million square feet right now. We're looking at doing almost not quite that much this year alone, but we have a number of commercial, residential, and developments that we go through every day, and they want to meet. And so we've actually moved the build staff that we created to create the synergy. Those that weren't here before, they were spread out in different places, so the development community has one place to go to do their work. When we're shoving them into the break area to have those meetings, it's just not a good optic for us. And the person that's most likely probably relocating those meetings is me, because now I'm utilizing the space with other developments. So it's kind of a cycle that we just do not want to showcase and keep doing. It's not respectful to the team because they've worked to coordinate their meetings. Some of these meetings that we have are very impromptu, which we like. We want to be available whenever they ask us to. So this is going to be a great use and a great space. Ideally, if you was to ask me a year ago what we'd use it for, it'd be to create more office space. But with the use of the conference room, and we haven't got the Public Works building built yet, and the cost of that is coming in higher because the material costs are 27% higher. It's just going to take a while to get all this done with cash. And so we're trying not to borrow a bunch of money. We're just trying to navigate through it. But this is a great bid. I think this will be a great addition and it'll help us out immensely. So appreciate your consideration.
So this is an oddball question. How many employees do we have in Republic right now?
Full time, we have 129.
Thank you. So you're running a business with 129 employees right now with one conference room?
That's right.
I can't think of another business with that many employees with one conference room.
Well, we've had to, obviously we're utilizing this space. We've had to kick out some of the Wii bowling folks on the week, but this venue was never intended to turn into a, what we're doing with it now. I mean, it's a good space, but we've actually, I mean, this is indicative of what's happening. We cannot really house those events. And so we're to this point now with, when you think about it, we got an engineering and training position that we've just approved, the customer service position, the planner. I mean, you got to think about it. When you go from 60 residential units to 2,100 in the planning phase, that's not just something that you're, that's, you can make it look really good, but I view that just like it does with the city going from a size of 8,000 to 20,000 and keeping the same amount of police officers. It's just like, it may look like we're doing it, but we're getting to the point where we're having to say no and our processes are slowing down. So there's a lot of consideration where we could add probably 5 positions right now just off the building permit revenue, because we're like, we can't take building permit revenue, just people may or may not know this, and putting into the general fund. So if we got a bunch of building permits, we could not use that to pay for police officers. Just to clarify that, it has to go back into what the permits were actually generated for by law. So if you pay a building permit fee, it needs to be part of the building permit process. You can't take it to pay my salary or Scott. I mean, it's got to stay there. So we actually have the position to pay it, and we need the planner, the engineering and training, which we're going to get. I'm telling you, it's coming. The admin folks. But if you go there right now, they're reframing walls just to cram this space, and they got one or two, it's just, you got to look at it. What our staff is doing, and I appreciate it, but sometimes I don't know if it is actually a great representation of what we should be doing, because we're making it look like we're getting away with it, but we're really just taking every square foot we got. We can't really make bathrooms ADA compliant. So I appreciate the effort, but we got to continue to bring to you things that some people just don't want to talk about. It's like we have got to increase our footprint because we're growing all these developments. They're coming in to see us. We got to have the staff to field it and take care of it. So we're getting there. It's growing pains, and I appreciate everybody. But we were at a meeting today, and I heard drills, and it drives me crazy. But it's all good because they can hear it over the phone. But either way, appreciate y'all. Jared, thank you for the work.
Do you care if I call for a vote?
Call for a vote.
Are you sure?
I'm trying to get to 6:30.
I can tell.
Quota.
So,
word quota.
Any other questions? Seeing none, as this is a resolution, we will call it directly for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Number 12 on our agenda, this is 21-R-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, adopting the comprehensive plan for the city. I need a motion and a second to take up resolution 21-R-23.
Motion.
Motion.
We've got a motion. Do we have a second? And a second. Ms. Haynes.
Thank you, Mayor. The Buildings Department is very excited to present the new comprehensive plan, a land use plan, and updated major thoroughfare plan map to you tonight. That was adopted by by the Planning and Zoning Commission last Monday. The city's Buildings Department is requesting adoption again of the comp plan. It was last updated in 1988. The land use plan was last adopted in 2005, and the transportation plan was adopted in 2006. There are just a couple major components of this plan I would like to point out to you tonight. The first being the comprehensive plan document itself. Comprehensive plans with the associated documents, which often include maps, plats, charts, and narratives, include recommendations for the physical development of communities. The process of updating and adopting a comp plan is also an opportunity to identify community priorities, integrate utility and other community plans, and to evaluate growth patterns, existing land uses, and demographics. The second being the land use plan. This is also a key component of the comp plan itself. The updated land use plan includes the following goals and objectives. For community development, support market conditions to develop a greater variety of residential and commercial options, encourage the revitalization or redevelopment of older building stock, coordination with infrastructure, support new development that is well connected to the existing community, recognize potential infill sites as opportunities for development, and encourage the redevelopment integration of the former Brookline area known as Republic North. Under community support, where appropriate, pursue partnerships to support new development, allow alternative funding mechanisms to promote infill development where appropriate, and support redevelopment areas along the U.S. Highway 60 corridor to accommodate additional commercial uses and improve functionality. Land use plans often contain a future land use map. That's the flume that we often discuss. In lieu of a traditional flume, which does remain stagnant, the Builds Department has developed an intensity map, which will evaluate the existing characteristics of the site in real time, including the following: water capacity, sewer capacity, existing planned and programmed transportation improvements, and existing environmental assets and constraints. And finally, what you have in front of you tonight is the major thoroughfare plan update. In lieu of a full transportation plan, which we do plan to do at some point in the future, we've received multiple traffic impact studies completed throughout the city, in addition to the U.S. Highway 60 corridor study commissioned by MoDOT. We also have a state highway corridor study and continued cooperation with MoDOT in the planning for future growth in Republic. The Builds Department is intending to update again the full transportation plan in the future, and we've made this in cooperation with those future plans. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions or discussion from council?
Why are we targeting such farm roads that are primarily used by farmers for right now?
Such as?
Just off TT, right in this area. I know, but a lot of this area out through here, it's a log farming area. I mean, why even consideration?
Yeah, many of those, the roads that you have identified on this were a part of the original transportation map that was adopted by the Regional Planning Commission, OTO, back in 2015 and supported by the City of Republic the last couple of years. But these roads are identified for those connections, either between the City of Republic and our regional partners or regional roadways of importance. So you see a lot of connections going west for potential growth, going north towards I-44, and then obviously all of the connections going east and northeast towards Springfield.
How long have you been working on this project?
A very, very long time.
It's not a trick question. Like, it's just I've heard about it for so long.
So long. I've been here 4 years, and we started originally, staff started to work on this to develop the comprehensive plan in-house in 2017. We went through a couple iterations. We contacted, or we went out for RFQs a couple of times. We tried to do as much as we could in-house, but with the volume of development over the last couple of years, it just simply was not a project that staff, being basically there were 2 or 3 of us to work on that we could take on. So one of the important things to know with this is we did partner with SIMCOG, who completed a lot of the study, but we did do a lot in-house. Our principal planner, Chris Tabor, developed the intensity map, and he did all of the demographics and a couple of the land use studies too. So it was a good combination of professional help and some staff time.
The last one was in 1988.
I know, I was like in
Let's not
elementary
talk
school.
about that. It's not going to make anybody feel good if we start saying where we were at in 1988.
Yes, so obviously 1988 was a very long time ago, and many, many things have changed in the City of Republic. Typically, comprehensive plans are adopted on a regular basis, so every 10 years. If the conditions within the city allow for it, it probably needs to be updated more regularly, probably like 5 years. I would say our goal moving forward is implementation of the comp plan, land use plan now, but look at a 5-year reevaluation. So probably in 3 or 4 years, we'll start reevaluating the need to actually come back and decide whether we need to have a new iteration of it.
And as we move forward, since we've cleaned up so much, is it something that we're going to have to outsource 5 years from now, or is it?
Hopefully we'll have enough staff that there'll be, I would see like potential smaller updates. I don't see the massive scale of an update of a comp plan like we just completed. It'll be smaller, and even in maybe a couple of years, if our transportation funding, those programs change, we may have another iteration of this map. We may come back with a new land use plan update. One of the things that we really want to take into consideration is we want this to evolve and grow as the city evolves and grows. So whatever that means for us, that's what we plan on doing.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions? You got nothing?
I do, but I want to save it for my end.
All right, fair enough. As this is a resolution, I will call it for a vote. All those in favor of adopting this very large project that a lot of people have worked very hard on. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to reports from staff.
Get your tissue out. Stay here for a while.
Yeah.
Since you gave me a hard time about the last one.
Yeah, just keep going.
Karen and team, you did a fantastic job. The comprehensive plan is something from day one, it was an objective. I know that it's a tough project. It's something that's required by state statute. It's something that in every meeting that they bring to you, they reference. This is in accordance with the comprehensive plan. I know that's like fingers on a chalkboard to Karen and team because she knows that she's referring to a document that goes back to 1988, but she has to refer to it because it's what's required. But I appreciate the work that was done. I love the fact that you guys recognize the situation with the growth and development, reached out to SIMCOG. Thank you to SIMCOG for their work, even though I appreciate the staff for your direction and guidance that was provided in the process and that your investment into it. So it's a big win. The only thing that I would say is it's kind of like our budget. I'll be shocked if it's not having to be amended every 3 years or 4 years, just given the fact that things are just changing that quickly, because it doesn't take long when it comes to the development side. Like I've talked to you about the transportation side of the community. All you have to do is locate 1 or 2 schools in the right spot. As they're looking to find another location that may have to have transportation improvements, those transportation improvements take place and it'll create more and more development around schools. They naturally draw more development around it. So that comprehensive plan is something that I would suspect, even if we had the staff, it's probably going to be one of those things that we would still somewhat outsource with staff to work on to keep it moving, so that make sure that it's not another, what is it? How many years has that been?
Can't do that.
I'm not going to do the math. It doesn't matter. So it's been a long time. It's long overdue. And so we'll make sure that it stays on track. Probably something that would be helpful to approve by this 33 years. Gee, I can tell you how old I was. But I do think it's something we probably ought to establish by ordinance. Maybe even something we put into the city charter as well. We do need to make some changes or look at that, especially when it comes to our council makeup, finding people to run for the council, finding people to run for positions. I think that's something we're going to have to talk about, at least when it comes to at-large positions or things of that nature. So I didn't mean to transgress into that or move into it. Transgress, that would be a transgression. Transcend, wrong word. Yeah. Okay. Hey, but on a serious note tonight, I learned today that Mike Landis, our former PIO, his sister, he lost his sister to a car accident in Willard yesterday. And I just, even though Mike's not with us anymore, he's still part of us and a key part of our team and a key member that's helped us. So keep Mike and his family in your prayers. Mike is very close, keeps things to himself quite a bit. It's not something that he would put out there, but he did put out on a social media page that he lost his sister. So we will be sending something on behalf of the city just to represent that. for our half, just for what Mike has done. But our thoughts and prayers go out to Mike Landis and his family. And I will just tell you, as we continue to grow and develop in this community, there are things, and I appreciate your all's cooperation and your assistance. It's very difficult to navigate the city through it, especially from a budgeting perspective. So we start the process this week for the budget for 2022. So we start these things very early, get them prepared, start having the discussions for it. Obviously, we got a ballot measure coming up in August that affects what we do in the actual budget. But when we adopt this and bring it in October, we're going to change it. We've changed it again. I found out today we're going to need to bring task order now 13 for Burns and McDonald. Well, Burns and McDonald started off doing the master water and sewer plan. Well, based upon the growth and development that are taking place, that happens every week. It's like there's a new task order. There's $200,000 on the sewer budget to relocate. But it also adds to moving a lift station that will actually free up a piece of property we already own that's now worth like $500,000. So every little thing is not, we're not dealing with 5,000 here. Some of these things are, you know, 3 million, some investments are 70 million. So it's like, yeah, I mean, if you can move a lift station for 200,000 or start the process of it, well, in government accounting, how that works is we just don't get to go out and spend it without your approval. So when you see it, I don't say it to qualify, but it's like, we're not going to hold it back saying, well, let's wait till the budget process. I think that's what we've changed a lot. But at the same time, we want to showcase there's just no foreseeable way when someone approaches us that we're not going to go in and amend the budget or make changes to that to facilitate the growth and development. So if you see another budget amendment come up in August before the next budget, we're just not going to stop what we can participate and bring to your attention what we need to work on. So looking forward to continuing to work on that. I wish it was not always the case, but it's like, I wish we could just do one budget and just change it twice a year. But I also enjoy the fact that people are coming to us and wanting to grow and develop in the community. And we may have to make some improvements to our infrastructure to do it. So task order 13, that's what it's on. So I will tell you this, we did have a discussion today. There has been a lot of discussion about broadband. I want to make it very clear to the community that we're doing a survey of the community right now. Broadband was not included in the survey, but I believe it was today we sent out 3,000, the person we hired. To date, we've already received over 500 responses through snail mail, which blows me away that we would get that many already. I want to thank the community for getting that many into us. We need all that we can get. Broadband was not listed. If you want to list that on there, we appreciate it. But I will tell you this, you know, Scott, the admin team, and myself today had a conversation with a consultant talking about, you know, the number one challenge that I hear that's not necessarily that we control is broadband in the community. People are, you know, they're saying, listen, we need to take care of broadband. What is the city doing to take care of broadband? We're not in private enterprise. We don't own an electric utility. We do not put things on poles. We're not Cable America. We're not AT&T. But still, people look to their municipal government to say, what are you doing to try to make this happen, or what are you doing to improve it? Well, again, we cannot force a market. We cannot force people to do something that we have no legal parameter to do. However, what we can do is begin to evaluate ways that we can bring different things to the table and discuss it. So today, we started our engagement, at least in discussion, with a consultant to talk about potentially entering into an agreement with them to evaluate what potential partnerships we could do, maybe potentially utilizing our right-of-way, maybe potentially utilizing ways that we could participate. Our publicly owned right-of-way is a huge bargaining chip. I'm not suggesting that this will fix or take care of broadband, but I will suggest to you that we are going to get aggressively progressive, and I'm not talking the other progressive, I'm just talking about we are going to get after looking at and evaluating every type of mechanism that we can to bring partners to the table to try to discuss, is there an alternative rather than saying, well, it's not government's responsibility. I think that we have to take a different posture on that, and I will start that with myself. The growth and development of the community is very important to what we do. Why? It generates sales tax. It helps us offset the cost. Without trying to raise a tax, we're trying to grow our businesses, both small, medium, and large. But we will not be able to grow business if we do not have a reliable broadband fiber system to our businesses and to our community trying to do business from home. Is it government's responsibility to try to address that? Maybe, maybe not. But I think that we talk about that we will lead in leadership, planning, and communication, and we need to try to do that somehow, some way. And so we've met with different providers over the years, kind of taken that, well, we can't do nothing for you, and probably taken that and just kind of went home and said, well, we tried. We're going to take a lot more aggressive approach to this and actually work with a consultant to help us that have done this in other locations I'm not suggesting we enter the market, but I am suggesting we try to find alternatives for our community to consider if they're willing to do this. But we don't have a plan on what that looks like, but we are going to be bringing to you an agreement of some sort, asking for your consideration that we evaluate broadband services just in general. I want to make it very clear, we're not suggesting we're getting into the market. We're just suggesting we're going to evaluate what are the opportunities to partner with our current partners or find other partners to come in and possibly in a public-private partnership of some kind. So with that, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anything from council? Mr. Franklin?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Definitely prayers go out to the Landis family and Mike. 1988 for the comprehensive plan. I did the math. I'm not going to admit how old I was then, but great work on the comprehensive plan. Thank you very much. That's something, again, that I've heard about since I've been involved in the Republic. So it's great to have it in front of us, great to have it approved. Also like to send a great thank you out to Councilmember Self. He's the very first person I've ever lost an election to. He's been a great partner, a great council member. I really appreciate everything that Brandon brings to council, brought to council. His knowledge, his questions, really been a great council member. And I feel equal about all of our council members, but going to be sad to see Brandon go, but I understand his situation. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Anybody else? All right. Oh, yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank Karen for all the work it is, because that was a job.
Yes, it was.
And I know it was because I've been there in that situation. The comprehensive plan that we had when I was mayor was about that long and about that big, And I may have a copy of it still, I'm not sure. That
Karen, you want a copy of it?
She has it.
We have
it.
But I do know that she had to do a lot of work to get that accomplished, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? All right. Tonight, I've got nothing. I will not be at the next meeting, so Mr. Dykeman will be stepping in, so I'll be missing the first meeting in our new chambers, so don't break anything. And thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.